I think that's the best way to live too, is hanging out with people that you're into their interests.
Yeah.
But I really felt I didn't through high school really have strong. I love music, but I wasn't a musician all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like with my daughter, I'm just always kind of like, get into what you're interested in, let yourself make friends that way.
Mm-hmm.
You see your kids having that kind of
She
hard time with that. She really loves drawing and cooking and dancing and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to see. Although she loves slime videos, making slime so much too. I'm buying so much glue.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm like, I'd rather be spending this money buying you, something else like.
We did
paints.
the borax thing for a little while too, until
Yeah.
we found out that was acidic on their hands and shit.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
also like contact solution is expensive.
It's crazy.
Glue. I'm buying 3 liters of glue because I'll save money.
Do you do it with her?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
I hate
But I'll
that
play
shit.
with it
Right.
after. But
Oh, I
I'm
hate
around.
it.
Yeah,
I
I
can't even stand the texture of my kids. We had Tupperware containers full
Oh, I
of
know.
this shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's making tons. So now she's playing ukulele a bit, and she goes back and forth playing stuff. But I'm always hoping she will become more because. But I don't want to push it too hard. I don't want to push her too much, but I also I wish I had learned to play drums when I was a kid.
Does it give you any perspective on conversations you had with your mom as a kid?
Yeah, a little bit. That whole, that's where I also feel like I don't want to push too hard,
Yeah.
because I also feel like I didn't really get into the art thing till I was 27, like hardcore, sort of more like really going for it.
Right.
So 20, but then I got a friend and his son's this genius piano player and he's been playing it since a kid. So I always I kind of wish I had done that,
Right.
but it's easy to, I don't really want to be that parent pushing my kids to make them live the life that I wish I don't want to do that.
Right.
But I want to be as encouraging as I can be and just, have the love and the support there. But
When
yeah,
she
it's
comes,
tricky.
because I'm guessing she doesn't live with you full time.
No, yeah, she's more with her mom.
Right. But
yeah.
when she comes into the studio, is it just like whatever, I'm here, or is this a thing to her?
Well, she's into drawing, and I used to love we draw together, but she'd always think, for quite a while, she'd think, oh, I'm wrecking her drawing. Want me to help with it? But we've collaborated on a couple pieces too, where she's come in. And so even a piece I finish up and show and like that kind of thing, she was kind of doing some of the stuff. And so I like melding different styles anyway, so it could be like I'll do childlike kind of drawings and then mix it with something kind of more realistic.
Right.
But she to her it's all no big deal. She's usually sick of me trying to get her involved, or I paint her a ton, especially right now.
Right.
But a lot of the time I'm taking photos. We'll be at a Chinese restaurant and I'm trying to can you do this? And she's just taking the salt shaker and covering her face or
Right.
going like this. So I actually have done quite a few paintings of that.
That's great.
So yeah, for her it's not a big deal. She's she thinks it's cool. Once I had a show at a restaurant here, Wicked Rise Above Wicked Vegan restaurant near this donut store.
Nice.
It's also, and so I had a ton of paintings there because a friend owns the place, and she came in, and she's usually so cavalier and doesn't really care about it, but she came in, there was not a painting of her up, and she was like, how come there's no painting of her? So there's some mix.
Yeah,
but she's
yeah.
kind of a cool cucumber too. So
You said she's 11?
Yeah, same age as your youngest.
Have you had any conversations with her about the figures, like the nude stuff?
No, I don't. That's not too much.
The only reason I ask is because
most of the time I'm painting most of the time it's clothed figures lately, but yeah, she isn't. We're starting to do something here at my place, me and a couple other people, and because we just love working from life. So we do have some nude models coming up and working that way, and so we can split the cost because you want to pay $20 an hour, but to pay $60 on your own.
Right.
So we're kind of doing that, but yeah, she's not really around that so much. But
no, the only reason I ask is because I remember I didn't do much nude work as a photographer, but I did do one series that was nude work.
Yeah.
And my oldest daughter now was 3 or 4 years old, and it wasn't even a question to me. And it wasn't a question until later we were talking about it, going is that all right? Because I was sitting there working on these images, and my 3-year-old was on my lap.
Yeah.
And there's, I think, a lot of people, and afterwards sort of thought about it, but to me it was always just I'm exposing her to art. There's nothing.
Yeah,
there's
I
no
think it's
porn.
really.
There's, it's not pornographic. It's art and it's life, and it's especially with her being a girl.
Yeah.
I don't want her to think of women as nothing but figures, obviously, but I want her to also understand that you can be
be who you
You
are.
can be who you are, and you can
Yeah.
be part of art, and your body isn't something to be ashamed of.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%. I
Yeah.
feel the same way, and I find the environments like teaching at the college when we have models that are nude or working with them. It's just and then there's a drop-in life drawing Tuesday night thing just up the street here downtown, and it's usually just a really good environment. Like people are so, I mean, if you have decent artists, they're just so appreciative of having a good model because that you're just, you know, and there's usually a good kind of friendship and a kind of rapport, and it feels more like a collaboration.
Right.
We're working from a model now, and it's just, you know, to have a model that gives such good poses and that you get a person's personality in it and their essence and their energy. So yeah, I think it's a really healthy environment. I mean, it sucks when you have the odd person some of the time who doesn't show respect, and you gotta like fucking get them out of there right away or reprimand them.
Do you have you seen shit
Yeah,
like
there's been that sort of thing before. I mean, you can get that occasionally with first years, like in a college.
Oh, because
But
now it's,
usually
yeah.
they're just awkward though.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to explain that a little bit.
Right.
Most, like 99% of the time, it's all really good.
Right.
And it's a positive experience. But you gotta be. I mean, somebody who's bearing themselves like that, you have to respect that.
There's vulnerability
You have to
there for
protect
sure.
them. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, that's a part of holding a class or holding an environment like that.
It's interesting to me because as a photographer, there would always be these things, and like you still do them, like they'll do classes or whatever, and you'll all go out to somewhere and we'll take photos, or you go to, you know, some place will hold a bird and you'll take the pictures, and you know, you'll do the still life, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
As a developing artist or whatever, as a photographer coming up, whenever I saw those things, I just shook my head. Like I didn't want to be standing next to some other asshole with a camera taking the same picture I was taking.
Huh.
Do you have any of that sort of same experience in painting, or is there more?
There could be
Because
that.
it's more personal.
I see what you say. Like if you're having one person posing and you're all kind of painting
Yeah.
close to the same pose.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that used to feel more like a classroom setup, which can
Okay.
be different than your own work. But I find, you know, if we have a model, and then most of the time when I'm painting, it's kind of on my own. I'm using photography more, or some of the time working on my own. Then having a few people together, I find you can still get. It's interesting because we have three painters that are really different from each other painting right now together, but everybody's approach is 100% like just so different.
Yeah.
Level of realism or abstraction, how they approach.
I mean, that is nice because at the end of the day, it's not like where cameras are all going to produce the same kind of work. You guys are all like individually making decisions as you're going along.
True.
Like that can happen in the editing with photography, but you're still
Yeah.
working off of the same base, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, I guess even photographers can do such different work too. So even that, I find a lot of the time too, if I'm capturing like a drawing or a painting or something too. I mean, for me, then I'm kind of working in a lot of abstraction and maybe kind of some of my kind of sketchbook kind of drawing stuff where it's getting really surreal or something over there, kind of working with a mirror reflection and building a landscape that's totally out of my head. So, like, even if we're starting from the same figure, it could go different ways. Or you end up with some drawings from it. You're working from the drawings, and then it takes another leap. So, yeah, I find it works out well. I just kind of want to get back to working from life more. Like, I love working from photos.
Right.
But there's just something like if I'm drawing you now, and it's from like a photo, you can just zoom in and sort of see exactly how it is. But from life, you're kind of forced to take more chances and I don't know, there's a real energy, like you're three-dimensional or beyond that, and there's an energy and I guess you capture that with photography too, but there's just something for painting, I like it.
For me, shooting models was always, and honestly, it's half the reason I got out of photography is because I didn't see a point to it anymore. Like I'm one more asshole asking the pretty girl to take her clothes off. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't have a why are we doing this kind of thing. But for me, the one thing that I did really enjoy about the photography is that it was such a one-on-one process. It was a collaborative process between myself and the model. Like we would talk about what we're doing, make some changes. That's kind of like the one thing that throws me whenever I think about the classic sort of still life, you know, nude model in a classroom. Obviously, I refer back to any movie or TV that I saw this stuff, and there's no interaction there. There's almost like you never see any interaction between the artist and the model. The model just kind of comes in the room, gets naked. But is that how it goes, or do you guys actually spend time Like,
no,
are you?
I find most of the people I paint, and most of the people I like, if you look, most of my paintings over the last couple of years, most of them are friends, and most of them would be clothed anyway. So it's kind of not very few kind of nude figures.
Right.
But I love getting back to that because there's just something so. Something in the energy and the training and that life drawing is just such a love for it and trying to capture that whole thing. But a lot of the time, you know, the people I'm painting, it might be someone who's really young or female or older and male, or somebody who has kind of sort of classical beauty and someone who has a beauty that's not sort of, you know, in glossy magazines and that kind of thing. So I find it's kind of all over the place for me. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if this is a fair question, but even kind of going backward to what I was talking about, why I stopped photography. Why do you do it?
I guess it's that kind of thing we're talking to, where it can be hard to start it, but once you're into it, I feel I really do feel more balanced when I'm painting.
Yeah.
I feel it's so plastic and open, like it can go anywhere. Like even if I'm just painting you, it could be really realistic, the whole thing, or I can get this one. Most of the time I'm putting down brush strokes or scraping something, grabbing a big scraper and scraping it. I'm kind of thinking there's going to be more layers after, but you get something there's just sort of this harmonious whole, and maybe the movement of it, and this sort of balance of, oh fuck, I'll just keep that, or I'll tweak this little part of it, and it's just the creative growing of it, and it's so open. I can do anything. I can make you super abstract, or I can paint you in purples or super realistic tones, or have one eye knock the other eye out and just make it a circle, or like carve some of the head and have, like, you know, rabbits jumping. I can do anything.
Do you have any sort of like perspective on your decision making process through all of that?
I try. Well, I guess it's a real mix. Like there's plan. There's like, I'm going to work with you, or a photograph I took of my kid or a friend. And there's, you know, I want to work on this camera. Most of the time I kind of jump in. I'm interested in one part. Right. But I think it's a lot of just gut reactions. And when you've done something so long, you're pretty good at blocking in a shadow shape here. I mean, I struggle like hell with drawing all the time. But then you get enough of these sort of movements going. It's just, I guess when you've done a little bit of it, you can be more open to these little hunches. Like even while your hand's moving, it's like, oh, bing, you know, and just kind of listening to that, you know, that some of the time it gets to that place where I know it's the same with music and for you guys, and I'm sure with filming, but that kind of, and editing, but that kind of feeling where it feels like the product, what you're working on, is collaborating with you.
Gotcha.
So I don't know what that is, if that's some other part of the universe, or it's that deeper unconscious side of you that's talking about. I think that's what a lot of surrealism is about. It's like screwy, fantastic looking, but really they're talking about a bigger dimension of the world and the universe we live in. Because I mean, it's a mysterious world. Like you look at quantum mechanics and like little tiny particle pieces that are at two places at once, and so the world's like magic, and we live in this mundane drone society, but it's not, you know. So I think when we do these fucked up crazy things, we're often just more in the world than normal.